once in a while. Always call on
That's fine, no problem.
the city attorney.
We'll bow our heads,
Yeah.
please. Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for the many blessings you have given us in our city and our citizens. As our council convenes tonight, may you once again guide our mayor and council in their decision-making. With the work of our mayor and council and our city staff and various citizens' initiatives, Paris is on the road to better times in so many ways. And we're making Paris an even greater place to call home. Thank you, Lord. In His name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Always like to pass around so nobody gets real rusty on the prayers.
Sorry.
Roll call. Roll
Oh,
call, I'm sorry.
Boyer,
Here.
Branson,
Here.
Smith.
Here. Commissioner Hughes is on a tour of the school, so he's going to try to make it here, but he might not make it. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have any petitions, correspondence, awards, or proclamations tonight, so I'll open it for citizens participation. Anybody want to address the board, the council? If not, I have a consent agenda, which has been moved by Commissioner Boyer, seconded by Commissioner Branson, that we approve the minutes of January 12, 2015 regular meeting. Approval of bills paid previously, $113,306.68. Bills to be paid, $289,349.09. And salaries of $131,885.42. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Boyer,
Yes.
Branson,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Under ordinances and resolutions, I have an ordinance amending Chapter 11, alcoholic beverages. The amendment will be to reduce the Class B licenses to 5, which matches up with how many we have out now. To reduce the Class E to 3, again, that's how many we have. And to add what we've already done, it's already there. From the last meeting, we did a Class J was limited to 1. Is there any further discussion? It's been moved by Commissioner Branson, seconded by Commissioner Boyer. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Boyer,
Yes.
Branson,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Ordinance enacting and adopting a supplement to the code of the ordinance for the city of Paris. This is something we do each year, not necessarily each year, but we try to supplement our code as often as possible. This will be the 8th supplement to the code of ordinances for the city of Paris. It merely updates whatever has transpired since the last supplement. It's then added to the pages in the back of your ordinance book. It's been moved by Commissioner Boyer, seconded by Commissioner Branson, that we go ahead and do that. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Boyer,
Yes.
Branson,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Under Commissioners' reports, I'm moving that we authorize the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners to hire a police officer. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Boyer,
Yes.
Branson,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Information only. This last summer, we contacted Massey and Massey in Springfield, Illinois. They are a recreational group that represents a lot of other cities coming up with bike trails, any kind of recreational. They do also do landscaping for people. We tried to get an idea of how we could incorporate bike trails, especially now with the new high school, trying to utilize areas around the north, this side of Paris. For a couple of years, the county, we thought the county was moving forward on this, and they kind of stopped doing it And so we decided we needed to get going on this. And so what we have done, we asked them to incorporate the north side of Paris for a North Paris Twin Lakes trail system. We also asked them to come up with segments of the trail so it's not an all-encompassing. The idea was that if we could get grants, and that's what we're going to do now, we're going to try to find grants outside the city, whether they be private or governmental grants. We're going to ask local people if they're excited about this project, if they want to be involved in helping pay for it. If they're corporate sponsors who want to get involved, we're all for it. We feel like this is a city-wide project that will be beneficial not only to our children, but also to the health and quality of life of all citizens of Paris. So after the meeting, any of you, if we've got extra copies, you're welcome to look at them. The primary, what they suggested, if you're going to do any trail this time, they suggested look at number 1, and then they did a close-up that you can go and you can look and see what number 1 is. Number 1 is defined as park to school, and the park would be Twin Lakes Park. So the bike trail would pick up where we feel like children could probably ride bikes up, because we do have a sidewalk system going up to the park so they could ride. And then they would pick up this red line and would take it all the way up to the south boundary of the school. We have City Connections Trail, which is number 2, and that's in the yellow here, basically trying to take advantage of roads that we already have. They described it as the proposed trail route would be adjacent to Route 1 for the north side segment and alongside an existing utility corridor for the east-west segment. In this updated report, an optional segment would be added to the south along Stile Road. There also, most of the north side segment would lie within the existing public parks and right-of-ways. All of the east-west segment, however, would require easements or acquisition of private properties for construction and management of the trail. Land uses along the route include residential, commercial, agricultural. Jurisdiction would include the school district, Paris Parks and Recreation, and the Illinois Department of Transportation. The entire length of the red proposal would be 5,550 feet from Stile Road to the end of the new driveway at the southeast corner of the school, the new school site. The trail they envision would be 10 feet wide pavement, a shoulder, and width on both sides for screening and buffer. And then they mentioned that additional access for safety and management will be needed. We will be the first to tell you this is a big project, but the public needs to be aware of it, and it's something that this community needs to look at this year. We said last year at the end of the year we were going to spend as much time as we could this year on quality of life projects. Updating our parks. The dog park is in the works. Trails in the works. Anything that adds to the quality of life of our citizens, we would like to make that a push for this year. So, do we have the money? No. Are we going to look for it? Yes. Do we want suggestions? Yeah. We want to make this a topic of conversation at coffee, at civic clubs, at women's clubs, at any clubs. We'll be glad to go talk. We would be happy to bring the map, talk about what we envision would be a great asset for the community. And again, this is just the north area of the city. We would like eventually to involve all of the city in bike trails, just like they have in other cities. We're not going to drop this ball. We're not going to drop it. We're going to figure out how to do it. whether we can do one segment this year or not, or whether we can find the money to try to do more. Or if somebody wants to take on a project of one of these trails, the firemen did a trail out by the walking path.
In that, when we talked to that fellow, me and Paul stayed late and talked to this fellow on that, he said, I think it's 3 and 4 Department of Natural Resources he thinks would really kick into this one there because it involves the parks and the school out there.
Right.
So that might be some way where we get part of that done.
It even got, this even, it's kind of neat with, after the meeting, you can look, it encompasses having a trail that goes through Twin Lakes, then goes over on Stidle, and then up to Black Hawk, and then Black Hawk working up in the other way. I mean, this is a grand scheme, but we asked him for a grand scheme. We didn't want just one little segment. We wanted a segment that could be utilizing some existing roadways, but with the high school in mind. That's the center point. That's where we want to all end up. So we want the kids to be able. So that's our goal. The city council is behind this. We're going to be looking for grant money wherever we can find it. If anybody, this is a community project, so if anybody knows anything about money or capability of money putting this together, please let us know. And we have plenty of these for anybody. And again, if anybody wants us to come and talk, we'd be glad to do that. That's the information on the bike trails. Within the coming weeks, we'll be talking about the dog park. And then.
I don't think we really know.
Yeah,
We don't really know the cost of this.
I mean, if you did that the way that they're envisioning, it would be over $500,000. But that doesn't mean that would have to be done that way.
You know,
That envisions a path that's concrete, 10 feet long. There are a lot of cities that use chips. I mean, sometimes they're not gonna use the thin bikes, but they're gonna actually use the thicker tires. So there's a lot of ways to do trails. Some trails can be walking trails, some can be, but it's not for the faint of heart. That's why financially, that's why we all need to pull together to see if we can find a way to pull this off. And this is a perfect time to start looking with the school opening this coming fall. So thank you all for listening, and hopefully you'll be giving us some good suggestions. That's it for me, Commissioner Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. My first one is I make a motion to purchase tires for Air 9 for the fire department at a cost of $1,971.13 from Best One Tire and Service, the only place we got a bid from.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Boyer,
Yes.
Branson,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
And my second one on here is I'm going to make a motion. You have a 2% requisition from the fire department on our 2% money. This is money that out-of-state insurance companies pay. They pay 2% of their premium back to the fire department. And then that's used for whatever the members, there's a board, they appoint a board, they elect a board on the fire department. And those fellows bring us a list, and then we okay the list. I'm going to okay the list we have on here, all but number 2. Number 2, I don't want to take it off of there right now, and we'll do some more pricing on that. But I'd like to okay the rest of it. And the reason I want to go ahead and do some of it, some of that is air chisels and Pika pry tools. These are tools for rescue from vehicles, and we need those tools. We need to get those tools.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the list, all items except 2, roll call.
Boyer,
Yes.
Branson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Then I'm gonna have some information next. It's information regarding a $20,000 grant for the fire department was for stabilizers for vehicles. And we thought we had lost that because we got a email that said all state grants had been canceled, put on hold for the time being. And then the next day, we got another email that told us that we did have that $20,000 grant, and we go ahead and go through. And so that, I just want everybody to know we were awarded that. And so some of those grants will probably still come on through. It's just they're gonna have to take a look at them right now. I think when it comes to public service like in police and fire, I think this governor's gonna go ahead and see that a lot of that stuff moves on out and gets
Okay.
through there. And then I have one more bit of information. We had a new firefighter start this last Wednesday. His name is Justin, what's his last name?
Jackson.
Jackson. Justin Jackson. He comes from down around Mount Vernon, a small town that's about half the size of Paris. And he's liked it here so far. He says it's a little more lively than his town, so we're lucky there, I think. A lot of times we get guys from the big cities and he seems to be really a nice individual. So I think he'll be an asset to our department. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Branson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I only have one. I'd like to make a motion to award bid for 1200th Road widening and reconstruction of existing oil and chip roadway with a new aggregate base and bituminous surface treatment A3 to Boyd's Contracts Incorporated in the amount of $264,602.30.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Ware,
Yes.
Branson.
Yes,
Hughes.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Commissioner Hughes.
I made some time, didn't I?
Thank
Yeah. I have nothing other than, I'm sorry, late. I was, I guess, the school's dressing up, taking me a little tour of some other folks at the new high school. It's, I guess in one word, it's awesome. So it's about, probably 85 to 90% done, and next month they'll have to be completed. So it's a very, very nicely, community of Paris and Navy campus.
Sure is. Thanks. Thank you. Commissioner Kimber is sick today. Mr. Treasurer.
I have nothing oral, just a written report for December as it's placed in your mailbox.
Thank you. Mr. Administrator.
No, excuse me, nothing but information. As you all know, we're approaching budget time again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Michael and I will be working on that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, so we can get with you and talk about that, so.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney.
Nothing special. We're working and trying to clean up a couple pieces of property. That's in the works.
Thank you. Any other reports? Any old business? Any new? I have the adjournment, which has been moved by Commissioner Boyer, seconded by Commissioner Branson. Before we vote on that, I'll remind you all that our next meeting is pre-meeting February the 4th, regular meeting February the 9th. The public is invited. Roll call.
Ware,
Yes.
Branson.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Thank you all for coming.